there is just a host of things that are going on. Donald Trump made some comments over the weekend. He was in South Carolina on Saturday, and the Trump then was giving a speech about, and he mentioned NATO, and he was talking about, I'm trying to back up here because what this really underscores is this story is being reported this morning that Trump is encouraging Russia to do whatever they want to some of these NATO members. Right? That's an absolute lie. That's an absolute misrepresentation of what Donald Trump has said. It's not true. So the legacy media, of course, is peddling it fast and furious. I think that's going on for a number of reasons. First, they hate Trump. Second, Joe Biden needs some cover. In the wake of that special counsel report last week, it just blows the doors off the issue of the president and his age and whether or not he's too old to be prosecuted. We talked about last week. If he's too old to be prosecuted, is he too old to be president? I think that's a question that's worth asking if you're an honest individual. So this whole Trump thing, encouraging Russia to do whatever they want, this is the latest legacy media lie. And the reason they're doing it, again, they're trying to give cover. First of all, they don't want to report on Joe Biden and his age and that special counsel report. They want to get as far away from that as fast as they can. That's the last thing they want to be talking about. So what do? You go after Donald Trump and you demonize Trump. And this latest nonsense coming from the legacy media regarding Trump is that it's Trump in making these remarks. He's encouraging Russia to do whatever they want. Okay, let's put this in perspective. He is not encouraging Russia to do whatever they want. That is false. What this is, every time you see these legacy media stories about Trump, my advice to you, go find what Donald Trump actually said. I've been doing it for years. I learned a long time ago, legacy media just cannot tell the truth when it comes to Donald Trump. They just outright lies. Generally, what you see are distortions. They tell you just enough truth, and then they distort the hell out of it. That's what's going on right now regarding this Trump and this NATO story, and it's Politico and all the usual suspects that are behind this. You know, and you see the headlines, clickbait headlines, enough to make Reagan ill. Trump's NATO remarks under fire. Fox News. White House response to Trump encouraging Russia to do whatever they want to some NATO members. It's unhinged. First of all, whatever comes out of the Biden White House, I'd be skeptical if I were you. I'm just saying, would not be looking at anything coming out of the White House with any degree of credibility. Credibility is a big problem. So let's get into Trump's comment. There's a great piece by Matt Margolis at PJ Media, and he did a deep dive on this. And he shared the actual comments that Trump made. And then he gives his thoughts as to what it was Trump was doing. And it's worth sharing with you. What was being discussed, he was talking about the financial commitment that the U.S. has made to Ukraine. in excess of $200 billion that the U.S. has sent to Ukraine. He was pointing to the difference between what the U.S. was sending to Ukraine and what NATO nations are sending to Ukraine. The United States is sending more to Ukraine than all of the other NATO countries combined. And Trump said, to the tune of the U.S., $200 billion to $25 billion. And Trump said the war in Ukraine, and he says that's not fair because he said the war in Ukraine actually affects them more directly. And the economy in the United States is roughly equivalent to the size of the collective economy of these European countries. And so Trump said, I did the same thing with NATO. I got them to pay up. NATO was busted until I came along. I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, what if we don't pay? Are you still going to protect us? Then he told the story. He said, I came in, I made a speech, and they said, you got to pay up. They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes. Let's say that happened. And Trump said, no, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You've got to pay your bills. And the money came flowing in, Trump said. That's what Trump actually said. Now, what he was doing, you understand what he was doing there, right? You understand what Trump was doing there was not about Russia and any threat or letting Russia do whatever the hell they want. That's not what the point was. The point was to these NATO countries, pay up. Or, you want the United States is not going to defend you. We're not going to fund NATO on our own. You need to pay up. So Trump made that comment not as a threat to Russia, but as a threat to NATO countries to get them to pay their share. That's what was really happening. So you put it in that perspective. It was not Trump's and what he was telling Russia. What he was saying and allowing Russia to do whatever the hell they want. He was telling NATO countries, hey, you don't want to help us foot the bill, then you're on your own, basically is what he's saying, right? He's telling these NATO countries, you're on your own. And so the legacy media is just distorting the hell out of this. And, of course, here comes the Biden administration, the worst distorters we've ever seen out there. Distorter in chief. So the White House Saturday criticized Trump for these comments. It's appalling and unhinged. They're saying he's encouraging Russia to, and even Fox News, comments in which he encouraged Russia to do whatever the hell they want. That's not what Trump said. That was, again, Fox, one of the difficulties here, you got so many lies that are being told. It takes somebody with some thought processes to work through all these lies. When you got lies coming at you left and right and distortions and mistruths, half-truths, all coming at you at the same time, you need people who are got a pretty firm grip on reality to be able to sort through all that noise. It's tough. It is tough. I think, going on today. So that even Fox News in their writing, he encouraged Russia to do whatever the hell they want. No, that's not what he said. That's not what Trump said. It's really not what he was getting at. The whole point of those comments was not, those comments were not directed to Russia. They were directed to our NATO allies to get them to pay their damn bills. That's what was at the heart of what he was saying. Now, again, this is why years ago, when Donald Trump even was running for president, I began to realize, the media would be saying, Donald Trump said this, some outrageous, just garbage. Really? And then you go and you look at it, and you look at the actual comment, and you go, well, that's not what he was saying at all. It's being distorted. It's being misrepresented. That's what the legacy media largely does. How can we distort what's actually going on out there? How can we, create even more of a smokescreen and confuse the American people as to what actual events are transpiring? And it's just absolutely incredible. So that story is cow manure, as far as I'm concerned. It's just an absolute joke. And again, hats off to Matt Margolis over at PJ Media, who was pointing that out, and and Margolis came to the same conclusion I did. He said, this wasn't a warning to NATO allies that he's going to let Russia do whatever the hell they want. It was a story about how he got NATO nations to pay their commitments while he was president. Senator Marco Rubio said the same thing to CNN of Trump. He used leverage to get people to step up to the plate and become more active in NATO. So now you get the NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg, responding to this business with Trump, and I have Stoltenberg's comments here. Forgive me, I'm thumbing through a number of stories. So he's reacting to it, and I think it was maybe in the story to Politico, that he was quite taken aback by this, and forgive me, I wanted to quote his comments for you. Yeah, here we go. He said, any suggestion that allies will not defend each other undermines all of our security, including that of the U.S., and puts American and European soldiers at increased risk, he said. But here's the thing. Talking about Donald Trump's comments at the time that he made them, Jens Stoltenberg praised Trump for his leadership and getting NATO allies to fulfill their commitments to NATO and to pay their bills. So previously, he praised Trump when Trump was out there saying, hey, you need, and we talked about this at the time, you need to pay your fair share. Stoltenberg loved that at the time. And now he's saying, it's Trump derangement syndrome that we see in so many of these folks and the way they react to this. Politico.com's got a big story on it, and, So much of the reaction, honestly, so much of it is so stupid. Representative Adam Schiff, Senator Brian Schatz of Missouri, it's just nonsense. Just absolute nonsense. It's not even worth wasting your time on so much of that stuff. But the legacy media, boy, they'll give all kinds of time to that. And again, I think what's really happening there is, how do we distract from Joe Biden's problem and the senility and special counsel saying that, they were to bring charges against Joe Biden by the time he's done being president, and that goes to trial, jury wouldn't convict him. Now, speaking of Biden's age, there's one other story I wanted to share before we run out of time this morning. 86% of voters feel Biden is too old to finish another term. This is a new poll, ABC News poll. This is an ABC News Ipsos survey. 86% of Americans said Biden too old for another stint in the White House. Among those voters, 59% said that both Biden and Trump are too old, while only 27% felt Biden was too old, but not Trump. It depends on the individual. It really does. People do not age the same way. I've known people in their 60s who act like they're, into their 80s. They're losing it. So another 3% said only Trump is too old. How do you say that only Trump is too old? Biden's not too old, but Trump is. Trump's younger than Biden. How do you come to that conclusion? That's why I laugh at some of these polls. So 73% of Democrats, 73%. So almost 3/4 of Democrats think that Biden is too old. 35% of Republicans said the same about Trump. Independents, though, I think really tell the story. Independents, 91% feel that Biden is too old. 71% believed the same thing about Trump. So I think what you see is a lot more fairness in the perspective of independents on that issue. So 86% of voters feel Biden is too old to finish another term. Even the New York Times, they did a story, and they went out. This was within the last few days. New York Times had a story. Other 80-somethings have thoughts about age and the presidency. And they go out to talk to folks in their 70s and 80s, about Joe Biden and his mental acuity. And what you find is that even the New York Times has to report, it's not good. The perspective of many voters.